So I am currently traveling, which means it's a little bit harder for me to make videos. So I did want to show you another clip from my documentary since I'm hanging out with my girlfriend's family for the holidays. And I feel like family is what you make it, not the blood you're born to, but the people that you choose to be in your life. And I'm blessed to have a group of friends that have stuck through me through all of it. Before I was on YouTube, when I was on disability and just trying to exist, the rise in fame, and then the absolute chaos that happened in 2017 up till now. I had an opportunity while shooting this documentary to just sit down and talk to my friends. And honestly, I think it's just a wonderful, wholesome conversation. And it highlights some of my favorite human beings, people I genuinely love and who genuinely love me. What a better way to celebrate this American holiday. Enjoy the video. So this is my friend Seth.
I don't know you.
Me and him have been friends for about a decade now. We became friends over a game of Magic. I have a really funny story about Seth. One time, I got it into my mind that I was going to tweet a before and after photo standing next to him before my surgery and after my surgery. People think I look so much like Seth that they thought it was an actual photo of me. And then on top of that, didn't you say you've had people ask you if you were me in this town?
Oh yeah, there's been several run-ins.
Do you say yes that you're me?
Yeah, I just act like you.
Do you take a photo with them or like sign something?
No one's asked me that far. They're just like, oh, I love your videos. Like, oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And then like Philip, I mean, he's nowhere near as big as your average person, but I don't know, you've been dealing with health issues in the last year, right?
Yeah, I'm getting bigger.
Yeah. Why do you think it is? I mean, like, I know, but tell them, why do you think that is?
Wow, laziness more than anything. I just not motivated to get into my garage and lift the weights, until earlier this year.
Okay, so Seth, I mean, you've been big for a while, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what your weight is, but you are probably not as big as I was at my biggest. I was like 5'87", right?
I'm probably there easily, if not more. Like, the last time I weighed myself was several years ago, and it was 530. I'm probably 600.
I don't think you're as big as I was, but okay. I know how much pain I was in at that size. How's your mobility? How's your strength? How are you doing?
Not great.
Are you sleeping right? Are you using a CPAP machine? Do you need one?
I have an irrational fear of doctors, so I haven't gone to the doctor at all.
Boy, being fat and having a fear of doctors is a bad combo, ain't it?
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
So I have certain friends in my life who have tried to convince me of CPAP.
I hope I'm one of them. I'm like,
Yeah.
let me convince you now. But like, why do you think you've struggled with making the right choices and trying to lose the weight?
I think if I were to like really look at it, I think most of it is that it is an addiction type thing, right? I have noticed that there are times of anxiety where, like, if I don't have chocolate in the house, even if I'm not eating it, right? If I don't have that stash, it's like, oh, I don't know if that goes into like maybe I don't know where that comes from, but like some of it is the addiction part.
Yeah.
I know the things I should do. I just have to buckle down and do it. And there was a big voice for me growing up of, you just aren't disciplined enough, right? I don't have the discipline. And so for me, a big part of it is, well, if I were really disciplined enough, I would do the food thing and take care of it. Some of it is laziness. Just, it's easier to order. It's easier to do that than cook for yourself. Some of it is, I think that's covers most of the bases for me. Is just a culmination of addiction, but also like I'm weak if I can't defeat it myself.
But no, so Philip, you're more newly fat, as I like to call it. Like you've only really been gaining weight over the last couple of years. You've always been like a little plus size, but mostly tall, right? It's only been the last couple of years you like put on some pounds, right?
I like the mostly tall, but yeah, it's relatively new. Just lack of motivation, I suppose. Just very low energy.
So how? Okay, two ways.
Mm-hmm.
How does it make you feel physically? Like, are you feeling sicker? Are you feeling more tired? Are you sleeping worse? Like, how does that affect you?
Well, I've been sleeping worse, because I got the sleep apnea thing going on.
Oh, that's true. Yep.
Which I assume started a couple years ago, probably because of the slow weight gain. And it really honestly came about when I started getting money again, you know, because for a while I was really skirting the line of not having any money. You know, finally got out of college, got a job, started getting money that just really incentivized. I could just go get lunch every day. You know, I'm working at the office. I need to go get lunch. But as far as mobility goes, it's mostly the same, but I definitely get tired way faster. You know, I used to be, I've never said I've been in good shape, but I was in good enough shape. You know, like I used to play sports, soccer, a little bit of football, you know, paintball occasionally, you know, but it's, I get tired stepping out of the shower sometimes, and I'm like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah. Does it affect your self-esteem? Like, how do you feel self-esteem-wise?
That is a shakeable one. That's a strange one for me, because I've always been, how do I, you know, high school, for example, I always like, well, I was the fat kid, but I really wasn't that big compared to now, at least. But in my head, I was like, oh, I was always the fat kid, and that kind of, I don't know, I had really good self-esteem anyway. It's like, well, and that is kind of a holdover. Like, I think I'm great, but I'm also very realistic. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't date me either, but.
I think our friend group and friends don't necessarily make you fatter or less fat, but I think you find yourself attracted to groups of friends that are similar, you know, things to do, right? Yeah. So like, we all come over here, we play Magic, we play video games, like, there's no movement, right? We're not going on hikes, we're not going to, you know, museums together, whatever. Right. So I think there is some of that similarity there, but I wouldn't say it's like hanging out with Boogie has made me fatter. I think it's just that we both like games and we both like similar non-sedentary issues.
Can I say some some really fucked up shit? I've always felt more of a kinship with you than I do James, because we've suffered some of the same issues and some of the same stuff. Like, I know you have anxiety issues, I know you have mental health issues, and we relate on that level. But also, I know how hard it is to buy clothes at your size, like, because I had to do that for 20 years, and I know how hard it is to like do some of the things you want to do, or like date at your size. And so I've always felt closer to you than your roommate for that reason. I love James, right? I'd take a bullet for James, but I would take 2 bullets for you.
We could take a couple of bullets.
We could take a couple of bullets for each other. And I'm not gonna lie, Philip, like, in the last couple of years, I think I've thought slightly more favorably about you, because you're having health issues. It's not even about your weight, but you're having health issues. And I'm like, man, I know what that's like. I've got a bleeding heart for him. I want to help. And I also want to let you know that, like, I understand, because I've been struggling too. And so I do think there is, like, I don't necessarily think it's the fatness or anything else, but I think for me, it is common interests, but it's also common problems. Like, that's something I'm looking for in somebody's life, so that we can either commiserate with it or beat it together, right? Like, that's one of the things I want for my support structure. I want to be able to come to you and be like, dude, I'm 5 years older than you now, and I'm like, fuck, it's killing me. You know what it's like? It's fucking killing you too? Oh yeah, it's killing me. And then we like fucking hug it out, you know? But if I go to a skinny friend and I'm like, dude, I can't see my dick anymore. He's like, well, I can see my dick. Go fuck yourself, right? Like, I don't think a skinny dude is going to understand a lot of the shit that we're going through, you know?
I think there's a few different types of people, but I think some people it takes going through an experience to be able to like have more of that type of view. I think for me it's different. I think for me, I feel like there's a skinny person in myself wanting to get out, and I have a lot of shame about being fat, because I think I should be a more normal size versus, oh, I'm fat, so I will commiserate with other fat people because we're fat together.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference there. I think that people can empathize with me and I also like don't want to get together with friends and commiserate about the horrible shit that we deal with, because like the world's a real shitty place if we look around real, you know, not even having to look around hard now, right?
Right, yeah.
So like for friend groups, I want something to have fun together and to like, I don't know.
That's where my goofy sense of humor comes from, by the way, is that for the 4 hours we're together, I want to enjoy all of my favorite shit. I want to enjoy my favorite food. I want to enjoy my favorite YouTube videos. I want to enjoy my favorite game. I want to enjoy my favorite people. And I just want to fucking forget that the internet fucking hates me. I want to forget that my career is fucking failing. I want to forget that I'm divorced. I want to forget that I just broke up with somebody. I just want to forget fucking life for a while. But I've not always been able to do that. Like I put you guys through hell. I think it's important to let the world know. In 2019, like I walked around here openly suicidal, right?
You've been very forward about some of your thoughts about yourself.
Yeah.
I have always thought that no one but you deserves to hear those sides. Like, the people on the internet are going to think what they're going to think, right?
Yeah.
And I think you've perhaps been a little bit, I wouldn't say too hard on yourself. Maybe it is too hard on yourself. But, like, you've been too vocal about it when just, like, who gives a shit? Like, they don't need to hear that. Like,
why the fuck didn't I lose you guys as friends during that period of time? Like, what made you stick through that shit? Like, the majority of the internet dumped me like yesterday's fucking news, but you guys kept coming over. What? Why? I've always wondered.
Because we thought you would kill yourself. I am totally joking. No. Because I think we see people on the internet and, like, so Ludwig talks a lot about the parasocial relationship with people, right?
Yeah.
And I think he makes a very good point that you're not friends with people you interact with on the internet.
No, of course not. Yeah.
And we see a lot more of, like, your personality. We get to know you one-on-one, and, like, you're not this horrible demon that anyone makes you out to be. Also, like, I've got shitty parts of my personality. Like, we all have that. Like, you're not a shitty person. Like, you're not who you are that, like, you're being vilified for.
I think it's fair to say this entire friend group has a temper. Like, we all have individual tempers, right? Like, but like even in the last 6 weeks, Flint's gotten mad, you've gotten mad, I've gotten mad. Maybe it was at a game, maybe it was at a video game. It was just over something stupid. It wasn't like real anger, right? But like, I guess we all have our shit, right? And I've never thought less of anybody for getting like a little pissed at a game or some shit, right? So
I think we're all very opinionated.
yeah.
I think we all, like, you know, we all have our own opinions about what's good and bad. I don't think that draws us together necessarily. I think it's more of, like, we all like Magic. We all like, you know, Smash, the other stuff. Like,
Me, it was I don't really do things during the weekday because of, you know, I have a normal work schedule, and I have for the last couple of years, you know, 8 to 5. Yeah. So I get off work, I just don't want to do anything. You know, circles back to the low energy. I just want to watch YouTube. I want to play my video games, get my social interaction that way, pop in Discord, hang out with people. So the weekends where I don't have to do anything all day, you know, I have the Friday get together after work with Ellis and friends. And then, you know, I've been doing this coming over here for 6 years, you know, and I'm very extroverted. So, like, during the week, I'm just, like, hibernating and slumbering. And then on the weekends, I'm like, I'm ready to freaking roast
But you
some
come
people.
over on a Saturday, and I'm being a sad sack,
Well,
and I'm, like, fucking talking about how miserable I am. How is that enjoyable to you? Like, why did you stay?
So it tracks all the way back to the beginning. Started coming over here, you know, the golden era, as I always call it. You know, we had people outside, we had people inside. I could always go Group A, this conversation's boring, go inside Group B. Okay, this conversation's boring, go to Group C. Okay, this is where I want to be. Yeah. And it was, for so long, the Saturday get-togethers were the highlight of my week, because I was just like, I get to go hang out with so many people I don't normally get to do stuff with. And then, you know, the numbers dwindled a little bit. We had some people who, you know, would come over for one reason or another, and slowly people started trickling.
And then COVID, like, cut us in half.
And COVID cut us in half. And then there was, you know, in 2019, you know, you hit critical mass, and, you know, people just didn't want to be around anymore.
Yep,
and
I respect that.
I definitely considered not coming back over, but I'm just like, man, who else am I going to get to roast? No, I'm kidding. It was just more like, you were going through a rough time. I was like, man, if everyone leaves, it's not going to be pretty. But there were a couple times where I just wanted to leave. Yeah. I remember specifically there was a day we were over there. I was sitting down. You came down. You sat next to me, and you were like, so what'd you do this week? As soon as I started talking, you were like, that's cool. And then you started talking about what you were doing. And I remember telling you, I was like, Boogie, it's great. If you want to talk about yourself, you can. This is your house.
You told me.
But don't you dare come over here, ask me what I'm doing, and then immediately cut me off and start talking about what you're doing. I was like, I will leave if you do it again. Okay, so I have a big
question for you. You knew me before the divorce. Mm-hmm. You knew me through the divorce. Then you saw me in 2018 and 19 through the divorce, and now you know me now. Would you say that I changed between the divorce and while I was recuperating through the divorce, and now would you say Like, how would you compare me now to like when I was married? How would you compare me in 2019 to when I was married? Like, did you see me going through shit? Do you think I've gotten better? Do you think I got worse for a while? Like, I've always, like, because in my opinion, I was a pretty normally happy-go-lucky guy, and even when I was fighting with my wife all the time, the marriage was falling apart, I still did a pretty good job of masking on Saturdays. Really? So it was like during the end of the marriage that I started like shifting?
Well, you know, broad strokes and all that, but I, in the least braggy way possible, because I don't like to brag about myself, I think I'm a pretty good judge of character.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't want to be like, ooh, I can see through the cracks, but I know the telltale signs of stuff. I'm just like, oh, okay, this is a weird conversation. I don't need to be here. But comparatively, and I will say, you know, at the beginning of it, I was definitely more, you know, Dez's friend, and we've talked about this.
Yeah,
I was more her friend, so I didn't know a whole lot about you per se, other than the, you know, bolsterous persona you put on. I'm like, oh yeah, Boogie's doing his internet boogie spiel. But
Right,
you know,
right, yeah.
as time has progressed, the group's gotten smaller. It's gotten more intimate. I mean, absolutely. Like, you're leaps and bounds better than you were before, because, you know, during the beginning, it was like, okay, he's just doing his thing, and then the rough patch where it's like, okay, this sucks.
Do you think that the person I was in 2019 was the person I always was in secret, or do you think I changed because I was going through shit? Also, the same question to you. Would you say that I went through shit and got worse, or do you think I was always secretly that way?
Well, I mean, it definitely changed. Like, you were going through a big life shift. Like, the divorce was massive. Yeah. The surgery was massive. Like, there's no way you wouldn't have changed. Like,
would you say I was an asshole in 2019? Because would you say I was being quite an asshole in 2019?
I'm going to put it kindly and say, prior to 2019, you didn't seek out help. You were, I think you definitely thought, like, I'm on this YouTube thing, there's not a floor, right? I'm not going to fail.
Right.
And I think that once things started going downward for you, whether it was divorce or other things, I think you eventually recognized, I need to do something, or I'm just not going to have friends, or whatever the fears, you know, were fulfilling for you.
Yeah, like,
but I think
as our group started to get smaller, I'm like, holy fuck, these guys can't keep dealing with this shit. Right? Like, I'm putting so much on these